to be completely honest with you, I think this tent is Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Now I am the owner of a Wild Country Helm Compact 1 tent. So in this video I'm going to be giving you a 2-year honest review of this tent. So the Wild Country Helm Compact 1 is manufactured by Terra Nova Equipment, which is a UK tent designer and manufacturer. It's fairly lightweight for the price, so it weighs in, you can see there, at 1.97 kilograms. That's its packed weight. It measures 35 centimeters by 17 approximately. Now you'll notice that on the top there, I've got the footprint. That's the footprint for this tent, and I'll show you why I use that later, but I keep that strapped on top. Now normally, when I'm out wild camping, I don't have it all packed up like this. I leave the bag behind, I take the tent apart and I have it distributed through my rucksack just to save space and cut down on the weight. So I think the first thing we'll do is we'll unpack it and we'll have a look at what you get inside the bag. The bag, I quite like this bag. I've never had any issues in getting the tent back into the bag, which is always a bonus. So it kind of sort of opens up that way, and it's got those little clicky straps there. So it fits in. It's a little bit bigger than what it needs to be, so that's good. Okay. We'll come on to what the tent's made of in a bit, but just to let you know that when you buy this, it comes with the inner attached to the outer, which is very handy. And then we've got our pole bag. And there are 2 poles that come with this tent, and these are 8.5 millimeter Superflex alloy poles, and there's a blue one and there's a red one, and there's a reason that they're blue and they're red. Next we've got the pegs, and the pegs that come with this from the factory are these alloy V-shaped ones. Now I think you get about 10 of these when it comes with it. Now, over the last 2 years, I've lost 1 or 2 of them. I've bent 1 or 2 of them in hard ground on kind of hot summer camps, and so I have replaced them with these ones from Alp Kits, which are the same colour, but they're called candy canes, I think. They're kind of slightly different design, but still do the job. So I've got a bit of a mishmash of pegs, but you do get 10 of their own alloy V-shaped ones. So, as mentioned, I've got the official Helm Compact 1 footprint, which you can get quite easily. I'll put the price of this up on the screen, just so you're aware. It's not the cheapest, but it's an insurance policy because it protects the bottom of the tent. And the other thing, as you can see, it's really useful for just marking out the ground. So when you're pitching, you kind of can get an idea how to fit the tent into the space that you might have. And obviously the space sometimes might be quite constrained. So I just get this in the ground first of all. I don't tend to stretch out the bungees too much when I first put the footprint in. I can always adjust that when we put the tent on top. Next thing I do, get the tent with the inner attached. Try not to tangle myself up. Just lay it over the top. And I get my poles. And as mentioned, there's just 2 poles for this tent. It's nice and straightforward. They fit together really well. And they're colour coded, which you'll see in a second. So one of them is blue And that fits into the pole lengthways. I'm just going to pop that just there for the moment. Get the other one ready, the red one, which fits in across this way, widthways across the tent. And you can see, hopefully, that it's pre-bent there, so that it fits into the sleeves where the poles go. So we'll put that to one side. And we're just going to get that blue pole in first. So I've got these two little holes here where the blue pole can go, and it's depending on the evenness, it's depending on how even the ground is, which one you use. I tend to use the inside one, and it just creates a bit more of a rigid structure. So what I've been able to do there, of course, is just to fit the tent on top of the footprint. Now, it's not completely pitched yet, as you can see, because I just need to pull out the corners, but that's how long it took just to get the main poles in. We just need to peg out the corners with these little yellow cords here, which you can then pull to lock. So there we go, fully pitched apart from the guy lines. So it has 4 guy lines, one on this side, one on the other, one near the blue, one near the blue down there. I use them sometimes, but actually the way that Terra Nova have designed this tent makes it pretty strong. But as I mentioned, I haven't got it fully rigid today, but it gives you an idea of how reliable that would be in wind. And I have used this without the guy ropes in wind. If it is pretty stormy, then I would definitely use them. So in terms of the material that it's made of, so this is StormTech 68 denier ripstock polyester. So that's the outer, the fly sheet. And then the inner is also polyester, that's 68 denier as well. Just going back to the outer, the hydrostatic head, which measures how waterproof the tent is 4,000 millimeters. And the ground sheet, I believe, is 5,000 millimeters. I'll confirm that on the screen, but the ground sheet has a hydrostatic head of 5,000 millimeters. Shall we have a look inside? Okay, so we got the Velcro storm flap just there. Zips, I've not had a problem with at all in the whole time that I've used it. Strong, haven't got snagged at all. So we've got one porch area out the front, and it's the porch is the side where the writing is. And then there's a little tie-off point there. I suppose if I was being nitpicky, it'd be quite nice if we had 2 of these. So maybe if they moved that one up a little bit further and they had another one about there, that would be quite nice. And as you've seen, if you watch my videos, this porch area is actually quite large. You can get quite a bit in there. So I tend to use it to put my water, my fold-up table, my stove, litter, things like that. I don't tend to keep the rucksack there. Once it's all zipped up, sometimes I put my wet boots down here. But it's really useful. I've never used this tent without having that footprint. So in terms of mesh ventilation on the inner, there is one on this side, so it's side entrance, and there's one just there, and there is another one on the other side. I'll show you in a second. You've also got vent just under here, and another, yeah, just at the back here as well. I quite like it that once you've unzip the inner door, you can just tuck it round and pop it in a little pocket there, so you don't even have to tie it back. You just stuff it into that pocket. It's just simple, isn't it? But it's those kinds of things that sort of really make all the difference. We're inside the tent now. Now, as mentioned, just behind me, there's that fairly large ventilation area on the front door of the inner, and then we've got one on the back here. Also, there's that little window that zips up over the top there, so if you don't want the ventilation. And out the back, those of you that have this tent will know what I mean, there is another vestibule area. And this is kind of for wet gear, rucksacks, or whatever you want to use it for, really. And I found this really, really useful, and it really helps you to make use of the space in this tent, so you're not having to have the rucksack actually in the main tent with you. So 9 times out of 10, I put my rucksack out the back, I put my wet shoes out the back, wet clothes and so on. And then we've got pockets up this side here, so we've got a larger one on that corner, we've got a larger one over here. I guess you could sleep whatever end you want, really. I tend to sleep up this end and then have that kind of on my right. Up the top, we've got a little hook there, if you can see that, and that's for hanging a lantern, torch, so you can see what you're doing. Now, I am 5'8" tall, so I'm not the tallest person, so this tent was kind of designed for me, I feel, because I fit perfectly into this tent. I know friends of mine that are taller than me do use this tent, have used this tent, and haven't had any big problems. But it's incredibly spacious. It's really deceptive. When you look at the tent from the outside, you honestly don't think it's going to be that big, and when you get inside, it's actually really spacious. And I think that's the biggest selling point of this tent. It's the thing that I hear time and time again from other users of the Helm Compact 1, is the fact that you have all this tent. See, I can move around here. I'm a mixture of a side sleeper and a back sleeper and a front sleeper and whatever, so I move around a lot. I've got room down the side here, so I can kind of put electricals and books and whatever. I've got changed in this tent quite a few times when I've had to, when it's been too cold or it's been wet outside, so you know, it's not been an issue. And one of the other great features is the height of this tent. So as mentioned, I'm 5'8", and my head, I have got a beanie on, is only just, it's not even really touching the top of the tent. So you can actually sit up, have a bit of a stretch, do your morning exercises, and you got room to move around, which is brilliant. You know, you don't feel constrained. It's not like a coffin or something. It's just absolutely brilliant. Sometimes what I do is I might leave the inner door open just here, just to give myself more room. I'm sorting myself out at night and I'm getting changed. Just I've got a bit of width, I suppose. But if you had to, you can still do what you need to do, have it all zipped up and just, get changed and sort yourself out in the main tent. So in summary, what do I actually think of this tent? To be completely honest with you, I think this tent is brilliant. It's actually an award-winning tent. Trail magazine gave it the best value tent of 2022. So I think if you can't afford an expensive tent, some of the higher end brands, but you don't want to scrimp and save and go for something cheap, then this is perfect. So it's in my experience of using it for 2 years, it's a really excellent mid-range tent. It's really good quality. Now it says on the tin that it's 3-season. I've heard some people describe it as a 3.5 season because maybe you could use it in snow. I have seen some people use it in snow actually. 4-season tents, the fly sheet would obviously come right down to the ground, but it's sturdy. It's a sturdy old tent, and it's a lot to do with the design, that the way that the poles cross on the top and the material they use, but also just the simplicity of it. So it's if you like simplicity and you don't want to be getting stressed with putting the tent up and pitching, then I think it's perfect for that. You just get it out, you put the footprint down, you put 2 poles in, and you are pretty much done. So it gets my vote. After 2 years, I still use it. Have I had any problems with it? I did have to send it for repair. That was my fault. I accidentally snapped one of the hooks that hooks the outer to the inner, and it was a minor thing. I could have left it, but it kind of affected the the pitch of it. So I sent that off to Terra Nova. I think they charged me, I can't remember now, £20 or something like that, including postage. So, and it was done, and it all had to be kind of stitched back in, and it was perfect. It was really, really good. So, good customer service. When I bought it, it was £140 2 years ago in 2020. The price has fluctuated during that time. When they were out of stock at Terra Nova, they were on eBay and they were going for crazy amounts. I think at the moment it's going for around £168, £170. They've got it on sale, and I'll put the link in the video description, and it's an affiliate link. So if you're able to click on it, it kind of helps me out a little bit. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's a really good tent. I was thinking before I made this video, come on, there must be some things that you can tell people that is wrong with this tent, and there isn't a lot. There really isn't a lot. I think the only thing, and it's, they are nitpicky things, was what I mentioned earlier about those tie-off points there. Maybe they could have 2 instead of 1. The other thing that I've noticed is in summertime, it gets really hot. It's a really, really hot tent. So I'm wondering whether when they kind of think about the design for this in the future, they think about maybe another ventilation point, or kind of enlarging the ventilation points that they have already. It can get quite stuffy. So I don't tend to use it when it's extremely hot. If it's sort of warm, it's okay, but if it's extremely hot, it's not really suitable for those kinds of conditions. So there we go, my honest review of the Wild Country Helm Compact 1, as someone who's owned it for 2 years now. It's still going strong, it's still serving me well. I really rate this tent, and it might be one that you want to check out as well. Affiliate links in the video description. If you've liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and thank you for watching.